And we're back. Welcome back to Retirement Decoded with Scott Tucker. I'm your host, Scott Tucker, and it's the podcast. Here I am with Associate Advisor
Max Wren, Senior Associate, by the way.
Senior Associate Advisor. Yes, I need to update the website, Max.
Yep.
Max has been stepping up and doing some big leadership things at the office. We have several advisors now, and Max is my right-hand man. And so today on the podcast, we have a question from Michelle in Arlington Heights. Now, for those of you who don't know, we are federally licensed. We can help folks all across the fruited plain. Any U.S. citizen or green card holder anywhere in the United States and its territories. We might even be able to figure out a way to help a U.S. citizen overseas. We'll have to check on that with compliance folks as the situation may arise. A reminder, get on our phone calendar at tuckerretirement.com. The link is down below in the description. Our phone calendar, free to get in, free to get out. A 15-minute phone conversation in the coming week with one of our financial planners. So now we are in Chicago, and Arlington Heights, for those of you who don't know, that's a nearish northwest suburb to Chicago. And Michelle, she lives in the Scarsdale neighborhood of Arlington Heights. And Michelle says, Max, how do retirees avoid becoming a burden to their adult children later?
Yeah, it's a great question, Michelle. I love that you're asking this. I think as a parent, you always want to be kind of the person that your kids can depend and rely on, and you don't really want that dynamic to change, right, where you are having to survive off their money. So I think some big steps is just being really proactive and having a plan in place. I think one big risk we see is a lot of folks, they try to put most of their money into really, really, really high risk investments where, if we do see a market downturn, if they're taking money from that portfolio, they may put themselves in a pretty bad position. So just having a good structure, withdrawal strategy, where are you going to take the money? When are you going to take it? How's that money invested? These are all good things to think about, but it's just one piece of the pie. Ultimately, you really need to have a good plan in place to do what you want, Michelle, for that.
Max, I did as I often do, and I didn't read. Nicole gave me more information from Michelle, so I'll tell you what all she's. And it's good, kind of, that we read the top level headline question. I guess that's fine too. But I get some more information from Michelle here that Nicole prepared for us. So Michelle says, Max, how do retirees avoid becoming a burden to their adult children later? ? And then I had here, I get my peepers fixed, Max, and I missed it.
You got the readers?
I got my peepers fixed, and I still need readers. It's a scene, man.
Yeah.
As the kids would say. Michelle from the Scarsdale neighborhood of Arlington Heights says she recently retired at age 64. Michelle watched her mother require extensive care during the last few years of her life. So that's where that's coming from, as Michelle is concerned after she saw how her mother maybe was a little bit of a burden, maybe time-wise or financially or both. Michelle worries about putting similar pressures on her own children someday, because Michelle's only 64, but she's thinking in the future, I don't want to have my kids have to worry. So Michelle was asking what financial and legal planning steps should retirees take now to avoid how becoming a burden on family later. So financial steps, one thing would be to have a financial plan.
Yeah,
that'd be a shocker, right?
Yeah,
right. We're not picking anybody, but that's a low hanging fruit for us. So, financial plan, Michelle, it ought to be that you should have an investment plan for retirement. A lot of folks just have a collection of accounts, or they just have a 401k plan. So, if you had an investment plan for retirement, it would be different than the investment plan for your working years, right, Max?
Yeah, completely different.
And so the amount of risk you should be taking should be probably different than it was when you were younger. When you were 34, your investment plan should be different when you're 64, or vice versa. So kind of a 1 to 10 scale. If you could rate yourself an 8, 9, or 10, we probably don't need to talk about your investment plan. But what a 10 looks like, Max, would be hedging strategies.
Yeah.
So that if there's a market downturn, at least maybe a majority of your money is protected from a market downturn.
Yep.
So go ahead with that.
Definitely one big one. I think you also need to be mindful of what these costs are going to charge in the future. I have a lot of clients when they first move into a care facility, if they want a private room by themselves, maybe in like just assisted care, they're paying like $8,000-9,000 a month. As you kind of get more life experience and you go through more levels of care, Memory care, you're going to pay closer to $14,000 a month at a minimum. As you get closer to hospice care, it's going to get closer to $20,000. So, oftentimes we're seeing people spend things like close to $200,000 to $400,000 just for their care, and that's wiping out almost all your savings if you had any. So just looking at a lot of these little tools that we use, and we love to talk to you guys about it. So get on our phone calendar. But there's a lot of things that you can do to kind of protect yourself from that.
And our phone calendar is at tuckerretirement.com, or down in the description. You can just click and pick a time on our phone calendar. Max, I think some of the, what do you call it, nomenclature. I was in the Navy. They use big words for small thoughts sometimes. So nomenclature. So I think I would agree with you on a bunch of that. I would say what I'm seeing, we have some of the same discussions. We're in meetings together. We have discussions we're in meetings apart with other advisors at our firm. I'm seeing a lot of times where it's $10,000 just to exist at a senior living facility. And I would just change the word, not to be nitpicky, but I would change the word hospice, because hospice, I'm thinking of the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
So a lot of people do
hospice. Life care. Yeah.
Right. Well, the hospice, a lot of times is the last couple weeks you're at home, and you just need somebody, not even necessarily a nurse, just somebody to tend to you the last couple weeks of life. The hospice care at your own home usually doesn't cost too much. But I think what we're thinking of when we think $20,000 a month in Chicagoland, we're thinking of memory care.
Yeah,
that's the one.
And the life care a little bit.
Yeah, so the memory care is the one where they have to have all the childproof locks and all that kind of stuff, and they have to have alarms, and they have to make sure you haven't, left the building and all sort of thing.
Someone has to help you with every little thing, basically. Yeah. So a lot of people involved.
Yeah. Yep. So, well, I've seen senior living care where you have to go buy a condo unit type of thing. You got to buy it from the place for like $1 million.
Yep.
This is like in Arlington Heights, actually.
Yeah, this is not an exaggeration, $1 million.
Yeah. And Michelle is in Arlington Heights. So there's a place, I won't name it, but there's a place, our neighbor lady's looking at it, and she's of means, so she could do it. She's looking at a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, so she could have family come visit and stuff and stay there, because it's a nice facility, restaurants and all this stuff in this place. $1 million to get in, $6,000 a month to stay there, just even if you were 55 able-bodied. Now, if you needed any medical above that, then it goes up to $10,000. And then if you need memory care, it goes to $20,000 a month. And so imagine paying $1 million to get in, and then when you need memory care, paying $250,000 to stay every year.
Seems like a deal, right, guys?
It's like, hey,
yep.
it's like, imagine you had memory care and a long life. I know a lady that her grandmother, her last 14 years of her life, she needed memory care for 14 years. So, yeah.
That's a lot.
It could add up.
Yeah, and just talking a little bit about this, folks, this is a trend that we see for almost all of our clients. These memory care facilities, these living care facilities, with baby boomers being the biggest part of our generation, they are really raising these costs up as they're starting to be beginning to need care. So it's one of those things where you're going to pay those costs to get the care you need to have the health service that you need. So they know that. They also know that as your care deteriorates, as your health goes down, that it's a little harder to move you around and stuff like that, and you're most likely going to stay where you're at. So unfortunately, we see a lot of predatory behavior by these healthcare services, and it's probably going to get worse. The rate of inflation for those services are outpacing a lot of other baskets of inflation. It's something we want to have a plan for.
Let me fight back against Max and his what do you call it? You're casting aspersions. Now, Natalie, my fiance, she works at a senior living place. And one thing that I'm knowledgeable of in seeing how this place operates, the labor costs they have are through the roof. So that's going to be something, I don't know how predatory it is, Max. I will tell you, because you look at it both ways. As a consumer, you might say, oh, these guys, I can't believe it. How expensive all this stuff. They have to do financial underwriting on you when you come in, because once they accept you and you establish residency and you change your mail there, you've established residency, it's really hard to get you out. So you have to have a certain level of investments and a certain level of monthly income. Just the same way Max aspires to one day retire to the People's Republic of France, you see. And so the French are not going to let you in their country without proof of monthly income and proof of assets. And if you earn income there, if you're going to do like a work from home, imagine if Max was your advisor and the stinker, he's out there in Nice and he's trying to work from home. So
Got it.
they would also make you get a work permit and pay income taxes. You're not going to do. You'll do the retirement there. You're not going to do the work from there.
I'm not going to work from there. No, 44% federal tax bracket. No, thank you.
Yeah, nice place to visit.
Good on that.
So, but if I go to France, not only there's a big debate about immigration in our country right now, but if I go to France, I have to go there legally, or else I get deported. I can't commit additional crimes, or else I get deported. But I have to show them. I'd have to show the French. I'd have to show them, and I'm largely of French descent, believe it or not. Even with a name like Tucker, it has to be good. So I would have to show my financial means, my investable assets. I would have to show monthly income. Some folks can go and retire. It's not unusual for folks right now to get some Americans right now are filing Social Security at age 70 this year, getting over $5,000 per month per person. That can be enough to get you into a country like France. But any country you go into, they're going to want to do financial underwriting, and a senior living facility is no different. And when I say senior living, like there are some in Chicagoland where they have 4 levels of care, and I can't remember enough to name them. But there's like the 55 plus. Hey, I just own a condo here and I'm hanging out. I don't need much. And then there's a level above that, and there's a level above that, like a healthcare floor, and then there's a level above that, the memory care floor. The memory care costs a fortune because they have to keep eyeballs on you all the time. Yeah. And you can't remember what you did last Tuesday, let alone half an hour ago. Yep. And so it takes extra eyeballs. And the liability, another thing, liability insurance. The liability insurance for these places is through the roof, because if they lose a patient, to their negligence, here we go, it's millions and millions of dollars. So, but Michelle asked, Max, what financial and legal planning steps should retirees take now to help avoid becoming a burden on family later? So both financial and legal planning steps. So financial steps would be getting your investments in order. You need hedging strategies. So if you have an advisor, remember you sat down with your advisor and they put hedging strategies on your investments, such as put options. They did something to hedge against market downturn.
Yep.
Now, if you have an advisor that didn't do that, then that's not completed. And if I was rating myself 1 to 10, I'd probably rate myself a 6 or lower. And then you might want to get on our phone calendar at tuckerretirement.com. Other financial planning, tax plan for retirement.
Yeah, huge.
So probably your advisor, if you've got, say, $1 million tax deferred, like IRA, 401k, they've probably already done a tax plan for you, and they've probably shown you a potential tax savings of $500,000 or more over your lifetime. So that should sound familiar to you, and you would rate yourself 8, 9, or 10 on the tax planning. If you've never heard of that, you don't have a tax plan for retirement, and so you probably would rate yourself a 1, and it's not to be taken personally. Now, Max, one thing, many do-it-yourselfers, one of the most basic types of tax planning, which is not all we would recommend, and I can't make any recommendation over a YouTube or a podcast, but one simple tax planning step that a lot of folks don't even hear about from their advisor if they have one, or if they never consider themselves, if they're do-it-yourselfer. But a lot of advisors are not recommending even a conversation about Roth conversions.
Wonder why that is the case.
Okay, so advisors do not make more money by recommending a Roth conversion. In fact, I always say, Max, whenever we recommend a Roth conversion, if a client takes us up on that advice, every time we perform a Roth conversion, we make less money. It means, Max, I'm a really bad business person.
Yeah, but a really good advisor. So
yeah. We can't now. Compliance doesn't let us say that I'm the best financial planner. I can only say that I'm a self-sufficient, I'm a sufficient, I don't know, what am I? A passable,
only passable
financial planner. Yeah. No, there's a whole thing. There's a whole thing where you can't use superlatives like, oh, we're the best.
Yeah,
we can just
get that.
We can be pretty good, be above average, better than most. Well, sometimes.
I like that one better than most.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we can't play that song on our podcast. You're simply the best. See, I already violated copyright right there.
Yeah.
Tina Turner's going to come after me. I don't know if she's still around to come after me, but she could come after me. I'm afraid of her. So financial planning, tax planning for retirement. So if your financial planner has already shown you how to save $500,000, or even we have folks come to us, Max. We've had folks come to us with $4 million in an IRA or 401k.
Yep.
And more than once.
Happens all the time.
So if you have $4 million tax deferred, your advisor ought to be, if they're really a financial planner, they ought to be able to show you about a $2 million potential tax savings over your lifetime. through a tax planning process. If you've never heard of that, then you can't rate yourself an 8, 9, or 10 on tax planning. You got to go back down the ladder, maybe a 3 or a 2 or something. So yeah, if your financial planner has not talked to you about Roth conversions or they poo-pooed it, it's because they don't get paid for it. Same thing with your CPA or enrolled agent. If they've poo-pooed the idea of a Roth conversion, they don't get paid for it.
Yeah. And so a heads up there, folks, if you're sitting down with your CPA or enrolled agent, whoever it may be, and if you're getting really excited about not owing any taxes in that year, that's actually something you may want to have a second look at. And it's not your fault being excited about that. But a lot of people aren't educated in the way of how the IRS gets the most tax money from folks. And that is by delaying your taxes, taking out, just paying the smallest amount you can every single year and letting that giant tax pile just grow and grow and grow in those pre-tax accounts. So almost every single enrolled agent or CPA we see, they just hyper-focus on mitigating taxes for that 1 year. You trying to, mitigate how much you may owe may actually cause you to owe a lot more in the future. So that's probably something you want to take a look at. And it's not your fault. They're not teaching this stuff in school. They aren't really, a lot of people don't know. They're kind of playing into the IRS's plan there. So, yep.
Well, another thought there, Max, is a couple months ago. Now, some folks are still on extension for 2025, but a couple months ago, you may have sat down with TurboTax or with yourself or with your CPA. You might have gone to H&R Block, whatever you did, and you should not, like Max was saying, you shouldn't get excited about a big refund. A big refund could mean over withholding. A big refund could be meaning maybe you're not maximizing the opportunity to maybe do some tax planning to create a better future. A lot of CPAs and enrolled agents, they are trying to get by year to year. They're trying to go through a bazillion tax returns, and then they're trying to placate you, keep you around for another year and another year and another year of tax returns. They don't want to help you rip the Band-Aid off. Now, we don't want to create any pain. We don't want to tear out your arm hairs with the duct tape, but we do want to have a better future for you. And using our tax planning process, what we're aiming to do is to cut your lifetime income taxes on your tax-deferred retirement accounts about in half versus if you picked at them. And we could show you all kinds of spreadsheets and data and computer programs and all that. Get on our phone calendar at tuckerretirement.com. We'll go through it with you. We'll be able to do a Zoom and all that too. So you wouldn't want to go to the dentist. See, if you went to the dentist and you had 5 cavities, you wouldn't want the dentist to say, well, we just need to fill the one cavity.
We'll get to the other 4 later at some point.
Yeah. What aren't they going to get?
One a year.
Are they going to get bigger? Well, we'll keep your bill low. Well,
Yeah,
what about later? Do we want to get to where we need more and more severe dental care? And I know we have a couple of clients that are dentists, and oftentimes, I'm not saying if you have a little speck on your enamel. I'm saying if you have a full-blown cavity, your dentist needs to do something about it.
Yeah.
This is not a we're going to snooze and kick the can type of thing.
Yep, definitely.
But so Michelle from Arlington Heights, she asked about financial planning steps, but also, other things you could do, and this is just pops into my mind. Let's not file for Social Security too early. Let's try to get it free from federal income tax. And for about 90% of the people we talk to, Max, we're able to get Social Security free from federal income tax.
Yeah.
About 5 years from now. So we have a little tax planning process we do. 5 years from now, as a client, for 90% of our clients, there's no federal taxation of Social Security. The only exception, the 10% of the time, there's a large monthly pension in the house. And so that could fudge with that a little bit. Now, legal planning steps to not be a burden. Legal planning steps, you ought to do a number of things. Healthcare, power of attorney. Some things that just make things easier. Financial power of attorney. You ought to just get your house in order. A lot of people, Max, think if they complete their estate planning documents, living trust, pour over will, healthcare power of attorney, financial power of attorney, these things, a transfer on death instrument. In Illinois, you can have a transfer on death instrument, so you can name who the house goes to. They can pass outside of probate. Of course, a trust will allow you to bypass probate also. So people think, Max, if I get my estate planning in order, then I'm going to die the next day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I
hope not.
It's like if I wash my car, even though the 10-day forecast says I have a GMC pick-em-up truck, if I wash my car and the 10-day forecast says no rain, I don't dare wash it, even though it says no rain, because the next day it's going to rain.
Yeah, it's kind of funny you brought that up. So I'm almost 33, but I've got my estate in good order. And I was talking with my grandparents recently. I was at a wedding, and my grandpa, he is 91, and he refuses to do his estate plan because he doesn't want to think about it. So I get it. I don't want to think about it either. But
he's had 91 years to think about it.
Yeah, he's had 91 years.
Talk about procrastination.
So I get it, folks. It's not fun to think about it, but we still want to guide and direct and provide and protect our family when we're no longer around, right? And taking those steps to do that while we're still here, you can be a lot better steward for your family. So it's not fun, but it really pays dividends for your loved ones. So
your grandpa Max is 91, so he's been an adult for 73 years.
Yeah, yep, sure has.
You know what? So when I first went in the Navy, I was 18, and they didn't really press us to get our will, even a will. So just real basic. But they did say in boot camp, it was something like, this is 1991. It was like $9 a month out of your payroll. You could have $100,000 back in 91 as an 18-year-old of term life insurance. So if something happened, my mom would get a check, tax-free check, And then later on, towards the end of my service, say towards 96, they changed it to $250,000, and it was like $18 a month. And it was worth it. My mom raised me without child support. She did it all by herself, worked really hard at it. And so I always had that just to protect her. But when I was on the ship, I got to a ship when I was 21, my second duty station. And they didn't press a will then, and they probably should have, because we're up there working on the flight deck during regular flight operations. But what they did is when we got ready to go do our 6-month cruise to the Persian Gulf and that, they go, okay, here's what everybody's going to do. Every one of these departments, all these divisions across the ship, a division on our ship could be like 10, 12 people, not like our Army division. So maybe a 10-person division. And so what's going to happen is every ship has like an estate planning petty officer, and that petty officer is responsible for getting every one of you guys that doesn't have a will to fill out a form. It's just a boilerplate will, and then we're going to have a notary in each department or division or whatever, and then we're going to get it notarized, and you're going to keep a copy and send a copy home. And then we did that because we were going on a deployment at a higher operation tempo, and it would be more dangerous, but we'd done a lot of dangerous stuff already and never had a will. But I was
like, all right, now you need one, though.
Yeah, now you need one. So I think I was 22 then, when I got a will when I was 22. Yeah. But and there's a lot of life's dangerous beyond military service too. So
sure is, especially living in Chicago. Right?
You just got to duck. Well, let's see here now. Go ahead and click down below in the description. You're going to see tuckerretirement.com. Click and pick a time off our phone calendar. We'll spend 15 minutes for free with you over the telephone in the coming week with one of our financial planners. We can help Americans all across the fruited plain, even in U.S. territories, maybe even overseas. I just never ever asked about that. So it's been fun and it's been real, and we'll see you on the next episode.